Okay, so when we take a look at here, I think what we need to do here is this is a slogan, so I think we need to move that into a separate subheading, like an H2 tag, because usually you don't want that to be the same size as your name of your company and so forth. And then when we look at your menu and so forth, this looks, it's some good content in here. There's some issues with some of the couple areas where you might have special characters we'll have to look at for that purpose. Um, the about page needs to be a little worked on because you're repeating yourself from what you have in your home page. So you want to kind of add into this. There are some issues with your coding, and I can tell that when I view the source. A lot of times I'll open up the page and I'll just right click and I'll do view page source, and anything that comes in red tells me something's wrong. So we got some things we got to correct here. Okay, so the first thing, we'll go back to the index page, working with this. Now, uh, down here in our header section, okay, you haven't corrected this P tag that I talked about in the video last week. So there's no P1, okay? And what we want to do here is we want to put a closing P tag here, okay? Now, what I'm going to do is then you got to modify this. Down here, the closing H3 tag, you need to delete this closing P tag, okay? You need to delete this closing P1 tag, and this closing H or closing I tag has to go before the closing H3 tag. In video from last milestone, I explained why. So I'm just going to quickly kind of go in. I'm not sure with this ampersand here. I'd probably just delete that for right now. And looks like you're missing your opening article tag. I talk about that. Here we have to move the nav section. I'm going to move this up here after our head. Okay. Then we have the opening article tag here. So we're not, and then what we're going to do is we're going to delete this article and closing article tag. Okay. So your page content is going inside that article. Now let's go to the about page. Now, problem with your about page, you're missing your doc type, you're missing the whole thing, your head section. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy. Let's see, what do you got here? Yeah, you don't even have the body tag either. So before I move on to that index wise, I think what we want to do is we want to move this closing H1 tag, move it right here, and then I would put in a H2 tag for your slogan. Okay, and that goes in the header section. Now this is what it's going to look like. See, it breaks it into two lines, so I think that would be better suited for you in the long run. So now what we need to do is we need to, once you correct the home page, it might be easier to resave this or the other pages. Again, it's up to you how you want to do it. I'm going to copy. Okay, so it's got a header. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to copy everything. I want to copy everything down to this article tag from the index page. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and paste it. Okay, now once we're in here, we're going to correct this. There's an issue with that P tag. We're going to delete that closing P tag. That closing I tag, you need to place it before the closing H3 tag. There is no such thing as a P1, so make sure you delete that. You can leave it, you just have to be a closing opening paragraph tag and closing paragraph tag. Okay, so then down here at the bottom we have our closing article. Then these two elements lines you need to delete. Okay, so then on your menu page, your head section should be identical to what you have in your home page. So except for your title element, for that. So you're missing your link tag, you're missing your meta tag. So I'm going to place that in here. Okay. In your body tag, okay, so you have your head tag. Actually, no, that should be a header tag. Okay. So we want it to be the same type of layout we have on those other pages. So really what I tell people to do is take your index page and resave it as the page name, because it already has the template, everything in the place, and all you're doing is you're just changing the content, for that purpose. So in this case, what we're going to have to do is we're going to put in our header tag up here. Okay. Then I'm going to go in and put the closing header tag here. Oops, let me delete that up there. For your menu, we don't need to have this paragraph tag here because the heading 1 is a paragraph. Really, it's the same. So what the heading 1 does is just makes it bold and larger, and that also means we don't need to have the bold tag because heading 1 does make it bold. Okay, so after the closing header tag is going to go the nav section. So I'm going to have that in there. I don't think you have that listed at the bottom. Nope. Then I'm going to go in and put my opening article tag. Now that closing article tag is going to go down here after your content. Okay, so I'm going to place it all the way down here at the bottom. Now we're going to go in and make some changes here. So you're making a cheeseburger bold. What you're doing is you're not getting the right tags, the closing tags in the right positioning. So the one thing I always tell people is when you type in a tag first, it should be the last closing tag listed in that list. First in, last out. So that means that this closing bold tag would go last. Okay. Now, I think what you would do, do better here is you're really setting up what we call a definition list. So what I want you to do is I want you to set up what we call a definition list. And the definition list, you give it a term and then you define what it is. So the term is cheeseburger and you define it with the information you have down below. So what we do here is for each term we start with a DT. So I'm going to bring cheeseburger in. I'm going to place it right up here. And you see I'm deleting when I do this. Then right below the DT, I'm going to put in a DD. DD means a definition of that term. So this is where I'm going to take the content of your burger. And I'm going to delete what's there. Now I'm going to do it all over again. I'm going to do another term, turkey burger. Then I'm going to put another definition. And I'm going to bring that up there. Then I'm going to do another term, veggie burger. And then I'm going to bring, and then I'm going to do a term definition. So it's consistent on that. And I'm not going to do everything because I want you to do it. So I'm going to cut that out and then I'm going to delete what I have here. So you still have the fire bacon, and I'll do the same thing for salads. Now here's what it's going to look like. So when I save it, see how it goes in and it indents the definition. So see how fresh is indented? So it kind of groups it. It's a great way to group it. Now you're like, well, it's not styled yet. So what you can do there then is with your style sheet, okay, it looks like you're missing some styles. I mentioned in the previous video in the milestone and that, so make sure you put those other styles in. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add a style that affects the DT, which is your definition term. You wanted it to be font weight bold. You want it to be bold. You also had it italicized, so I'm going to do font style italic. And when I do this correctly and I refresh, it's bold and italics. Doing a definition list is going to be a lot better, and it's going to help you with the formatting. So what I want you to do is I want you to add the 5 bacon burger to this. Then I want you to do a definition list for the salads, and that will definitely help you out in the long run. Now let's go back to the coding real quick. Let's just make sure the menu. Now again, that way it'll correct some of the issues with I and P and so forth. So definitely do the definition list. It's going to help. You're going to have to make those other corrections though, and then work on this toward the end. So once you get your other coding correct, then you can worry about adding the content in like that.